How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I got my Beta 2021 300RR Racing here, and I already took off the oil seal / wiper seal. I was actually told it depends if it has a spring, it's an oil seal. If it is a wiper seal, it doesn't have the spring. That's what a company that sells these things told me. So this has a spring, so technically it's an oil seal. Although you could probably just do a wiper seal of the same size, same dimensions, and it probably would work just fine, to be honest with you, because you're not really trying to keep in the grease that well. Anyways, I got to get back to that company and see if they can get me one that is with the spring. I don't think it really matters though. I got those ones off Amazon. I'm looking to put together a package. This should be a 6005 bearing. I kind of already mashed it up, tossed them back in the freezer to keep them nice and cold. And like I said, I took out that seal on both sides, kind of wiped it a little bit, and I'm going to get here to changing this out. It's really not that hard necessarily. Not that easy either. Remember on the Beta to use some of these to take out this. You gotta take that out from the other side. Bada boom, bada bing. Then you kind of want to get in here, have a rod or something. See if you can knock that somewhat to the side. Doesn't have to be too good. And then I need actually the sledge. Sledge works better than a rubber mallet. There we go. Just cranked on that, push that tube off to the side, go down there, get a good bite, and go whack, whack. And then that probably, yep, that loosened it. The center is nice and loose. Move it to the other side, whack, whack. Pick a different side, whack, whack, boom. Bearings out, center tube is out. That's how quick, that's how easy this goes. Typically, if you understand the construction of the wheel bearings. And there's only 2 rear wheel bearings on the 2021 Beta 300RR Racing. So then I flipped over the wheels you saw, take my rod, go that side. Like I said, I kind of picked different sides. It is moving. Boom, done. I'm sure somebody can do that quicker than me, but there we have it. That is done. What will probably take me longer is going and getting the other bearing. So we can start on either side. I just wipe down the inside, make sure there's no crud, there's no dirt. And this side is the side with the groove in it for the retainer clip. Well, most bikes don't have retainer clips, so it's kind of, to me, kind of funny. But there's also a shelf in here that the bearing's going to go down into. Sometimes there's not, and you just have to go a certain, depth. Typically, modern bikes do have like a ridge, a shelf, and then that's as far as you're going to go in. So what I'm going to do is go get the bearing. I'll use a map torch here. I'll just heat this up. You don't have to heat it up drastically, just heat it up. Take my cold bearing, take my fingers, and I will dip it down in like that. So I got my bearings here. HCH, yes, that is a Chinese bearing, but this is actually a really good bearing. They have good specs on them. I have a link in the description, but I'm hoping they put together bearing packages and just sell you kits for your bike because, yeah, I think that's a good way to go, but bearing houses are a good place to check. Also, if you know the sizes. Like I said, we're not trying to heat this up to a crazy temp. Just get it warm, Get the inside, because that's expanding. So as that expands, we're talking about, we can't even see it expand. This contracts because that's why you deep freeze it. You take your bearing, you say, oh my God, that's pretty cold on the fingers, and you take that, and so hopefully you don't even have to drive it in. Nope, I'm going to have to. Let's get it seated. So this is where I use my mallet. And now I'll go find a socket that is roughly that size to fit. Of course, being at the shop, I don't have many tools here. Ooh, that is so close. I think this one was a little smaller. Let's see, was this one? So close. Oh, the outside of this. That will probably do. I want to double check, see if I have something else. So at home, I would probably have something that's perfectly the size. But I think if I'm careful, that shall work. And then I'll just recheck each time. Ooh, that looks pretty good. Maybe one whack that side. I shifted that from there to there. That looks pretty good. Make sure this clip is nice and wiped off. Just get that wiped off. If you need to spray it with stuff, spray it with stuff. These bearings actually spec with ExxonMobil grease on the inside. They're also rated for 16,000 RPMs. Good for electric motors, for silent operation, and what have you for high speeds. And the clip went right in, so I'll double check looking around it. Yeah, that's good. It's in, it's seated. That's all that took. So I did more yakking than it took to put it in. Again, we'll clean this off. I'm gonna go ahead and yes, I know what you're gonna say, Mark, you're forgetting the drop tube. See, I'm only human. I'm only human. Another thing you can do that's neat, and I'll show you a trick. These duster cans you can get at, Costco. So they're not that expensive. You can take it like that. I guarantee you that's colder than it was before with the refrigerator, but I'll deal with the pain. See, that actually slid in there a little further. Now I'll take this, whack, 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 whack. It's smooth with that. Obviously, I can't pound it in anymore. Take this. Again, be very careful. I'd prefer if one was a millimeter or two bigger. This will work, as we showed. And then I can kind of, once it's in there straight, just kind of move it around to different areas, different spots. And bada boom, bada bing. We will make sure that tube gets to the correct area. Just go. There we go. That looks pretty good. It looks pretty straight. I honestly don't know why there's a retaining clip on one side, but not this side. I have no idea. Don't ask me, ask Beta. And I take my new seals that I actually got off Amazon for like $7 and some cents each. I'm trying to source those so I can bring you a good deal on a bearing package with bearings with good spec that I typically use. Versus all balls where you don't know what the hell. I'll tell you what it is. And there we have that. I know what you're going to say is, Mark, you didn't you didn't put grease under there. And I will. I'll just pack it in. Here we go. We got red and tacky. Whee! Kind of lube that up. Let's see. I wrote an S on here, sprocket side. So I'm just going to put some on here. Some on that lip. some on that. Just like that. And then I'm going to shove that into there like so. Okay. And then I'll wipe off my finger, wipe off the excess there. Another method is to take your oil seal / washer seal, as I guess the place called it, that told me that I'm looking to buy these in bulk. You can actually fill that up if you want. So that's another method people like to do. You could also take this, put it around there. You could also pry off the black dust cap of the bearing, and you can make sure it's packed right and what have you. So there's many different methods. I'm going to be told, oh my God, you didn't repack the bearing. I'm going to trust that it has ExxonMobil grease in it to the correct spec. You actually don't want too much grease in a bearing. There is such a thing as too much grease. Now you want good quality grease. So I will trust that they have ExxonMobil. This, although a Chinese company, they have a strong American presence. I researched them. They actually have headquarters in the United States, and they go to conventions and what have you. They're not just your Chinese bearings that you have no idea about. You can research them. Actually, you should probably take off any excess grease that's in this because it's supposed to seal. And be careful with your rotor. And there we have it. That is good and lubed. And then I'll put some on the axle and I'll slide it back together. Hopefully this video showed you that bearings are not that hard. Do not take that long. Don't be intimidated. It's really quite easy and you can get them in and out really quick with just the right tools as I have here. And you can refreeze that bearing on the spot with the canned air. And it actually will hurt your fingers holding that in to put the bearings in. Some wheels you're able to get this hot and the bearing is so cold that it will basically just drop in. It all depends on the tolerance of the manufacturer of the hub to the spec of the bearing. And you know, if you can just get it started straight and then take a mallet and pound it flush and then worry about driving it all the way in, because usually getting it started is the hard part. You can go wonky. I used to do that back when I didn't know how to do this. And it seemed like this was such a daunting task. It's not. Changing out bearings should be a fairly regular occurrence. I would say every few years, no matter what you think, you should probably change your bearings out, from wheel bearings to suspension bearings to your swing arm bearings, what have you. You should probably take a look at and change them out. They're not expensive. I paid $7 a piece for these bearings. So $14. That included shipping. That included, if there was any tax. I mean, you know, they charged me tax, but it was $14. And I ordered the front, but I got a number online that I thought was the bearing. And a lot of the bearing places, to warn you, like All Balls, Pivot Works, showed a fake bearing or purposely the wrong size at an angle, but it had a wrong number on it. And I got bearings that are like huge, they're like massive. I'm like, okay, that's not it. And they were only $7 each, so it's a small mistake. There'll be a good counter piece here at the shop. We'll never need them, never use them, but it's just be something that's floating around for a long time. And it's a reminder of how these places like All Balls, Pivot Works will show a fake picture with a totally wrong number on it. So if you go to a bearing house, you get the wrong part. Now, if I showed up in person and I had the old bearing, they'd just be like, oh, that is such and such. You know, they could quickly take a measurement if there was no number on it, and bada boom, bada bing. So you can look in the description. These are 6005 2RS. Now, the 2RS I've learned is that it has rubber seals on two sides, both sides. Because you can buy bearings that are this size, 6005 series, that have metal on both sides for heat applications, or one is a metal side and one's a rubber side. So you can get different kinds. So you just want the kind that have dust caps, sealed rubber on both sides. That's what you want. So anyways, there you have it. And it's not that expensive to do. So why not just do it? Like I said, I have $14 plus $14. I have $28 total in the new seals, new bearings. If I was just changing out the bearings, that's 14 bucks. Why not just change those bearings out from time to time? If you think they're bad, just change them out. It's not expensive. You don't have to go and get All Balls and SKF and all these companies. Although SKF's package is pretty cool, because their package, I'll point out, was the two bearings, these two seals, and it had two new spacers, one for each side. So, but it was pretty expensive. It's pretty expensive. But you can do that if you do need those spacers. They do wear out, so do check and replace your spacers from time to time also. So hopefully this helped you out. Have a good one. Stay well, stay safe, my friends. Bye.